And welcome back. My final guest is Clarkstown Town Clerk Justin Sweet. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Justin, very happy to have you on the program. You've been our town clerk now, I guess, for about 7 years,
Yep.
and doing a great job in that
Thank
office. For the benefit of our viewers, maybe you can give a little bit of a background about yourself, what got you into public service, and how you kind of stumbled into the town clerk's office, if you will.
Absolutely. Well, I lived in Clarkstown, New City my whole life. I grew up here. My mom grew up in Clarkstown, went to then just Clarkstown High School, and my dad was a graduate of Spring Valley High School, so we're longtime Rockland residents. I'd been doing a bunch of different things. I mean, I guess the abbreviated version of it is when I started my own business, one of the people I helped me out was the late Ken Zabrowski. And so we got to know each other, and we were talking one day, and next thing you know, he had made me a committee person, and I got involved helping other people's campaigns, and got to see a little bit what it was like, from an inside perspective, and one thing led to another, and next thing you know, when Senator Carlucci was elected to the seat that he's in now, the opportunity arose to come over here and serve, and I was thrilled. It's like always wanted to get involved in public service. I love helping people out, so was a great opportunity. I was glad to be able to come aboard.
Right, and I know you're involved somewhat with the Scouts. You and your wife Olga have 9 children, correct?
We have 9 children. Yep, I'm married to my wife Olga, who grew up in Congers, and we live in New City with my 9 kids. You mentioned scouting. I just took over in January as the committee chair for Troop 79, which is a huge obligation. So, you get my wife says, what were you thinking? But yeah. It's great for the boys, and we do a lot of great things, and especially in this day and age, anything you can do to get young people outside, embrace the outdoors, learn how to do things in that type of setting is priceless, I think, for kids. So that's why I saw the huge value in it, not just for my own children, but for a lot of other people. So I thought it was a worthwhile investment.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the town clerk's office, and maybe just tell our viewers a little bit about the responsibility of the town clerk, what's involved, how many staff you have within the office.
Sure. I mean, as much as I've tried my whole tenure to tell people what's available and what we do, you constantly get people who still not sure what the office is all about and everything. So it's always good to try and refresh people that we're the records management officer for the town. The statutory duties include being the records management officer, so we control all the archives and all of the older records for the whole town. And also we're responsible for, as you know, keeping records of what happened at town board meetings and other types of board meetings for the town, what the records of the votes were, what was passed, what wasn't, all those types of things. So we're charged with keeping all of those records. The town clerk is also the registrar of vital statistics. So we keep all the birth, death, and marriage records for the entire town. Obviously very important for residents to be able to, 30 years later, where's that death certificate, where's that birth certificate? New York has a simple process. Just go to the town clerk where the event happened and magically just get an official copy. So that's really important for people. But beyond that, as you well know, we took over the tax collection process for the town starting January 2014, which was a great initiative that you and Councilman Borelli had spearheaded. So we ended up eliminating an entire department, saving the town a lot of money.
Right. $500,000 a year.
There you go. And so that was a big undertaking. That's consumed a lot of time. But that's another big function that the town does. And then we just issue various licenses and permits. We're in charge of all the disabled parking tags for the town. We sell hunting and fishing licenses on behalf of the state of New York. The parking tags for the Nanuet train station, which is a lot that the town maintains for residents, where we issue the tags for that, and various other things like dog licensing.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of what we do. I always like to call it, we're like the front lines of town government. People come in, they come to us first, and we try to help them, even if it's not what we do. We try to direct them or try to get them what they need so they can go back to their lives.
How many people work in the town clerk's office?
We have, besides myself, we have 4 full-time employees, which was the departments before I got there. The town clerk's office and the receiver of taxes were at 9 full-time employees, so we're down a reduction of 4 full-time positions. And also, I'm sure, as you know, the largest single cost of government is the people cost. And so when you're really getting serious about, as we did, about reducing the cost of local government, you got to look at the staffing, you got to look at the amount of people, and you got to just try and do more with less.
No, absolutely true. So let's talk a little bit about the early collection, because I know that with the changes in the federal tax law, we had worked very closely with your department because folks are losing the exemption beyond $10,000 a year for taxes, and the governor signed an executive order that allowed for people to pay their taxes early, because normally you couldn't pay until the warrant was issued, which typically, for those taxes in January, people really weren't getting those bills until January 1st, 2nd, or 3rd after the 1st, and had to pay those by the end of, I guess, the end of the month. And you actually, we made the front page of the New York Times, your photo, and my, I was interviewed as well, where the Times actually was here. We had thousands of people within the building. Before
Unprecedented amount of people in the building.
So just speak to what took place with that, and kind of give your perspective and how that went.
Right. Well, we kind of saw it coming. I guess when the federal bill passed, I believe it was the House first.
Yeah.
When it passed the House, or the first part of Congress that it passed, we started getting phone calls from people who understood what was happening, wanted to know if the bills were going to be available and payable. We're concerned about the deductibility issue. And then when it passed the other side of I believe the Senate was the second one it passed. When it passed the Senate, the phone calls were nonstop all day long. And that's when I said to my staff, something's going to happen here. We're going to have to move this whole thing. We're going to have to really drag the timetables forward a little bit, because people are going to want to pay early, and we're going to have to make it happen. So that when it passed the Senate, that's when I really started moving and realizing it was coming, whether we liked it or not. And that's what we do. We try to make it happen for the residents. So then we started, talking to our vendors, talking to the assessor's office, talking to the county of Rockland, speaking with your office, and just trying to coordinate everything and kind of pull the time frames up so we could have bills in December. And thankfully, we were able to make it happen. I mean, it was a collaborative effort. We had spoken several different times, and it was nice to have, the supervisor's office give us whatever we needed. And we had people from other departments come in to staff it. But really, it was, I think, unprecedented. It was as an elected official, it was really interesting to be there at that time, because I've never seen town hall even a fraction of that many people present at one time. It was an unprecedented level of constituents, residents coming out all at one time. And I think that town of Clarkstown, all of us together, we did something really good there. We really made it happen and kind of set the benchmark for other towns as to, you've heard countless other people saying, my town couldn't do this, or my county couldn't do that, and you guys were able to pull it all together. So, it was that's what happens when we work together, and everybody in town works together. We can pull things like that off.
Oh no, it worked. I thought it worked out extremely well, and I'm delighted with the level of cooperation and the work together with that. We offered several staff from my office. We had people from the town attorney's office. It really
someone from the assessor's office.
It was extraordinary, the level of cooperation, and what do we think? We probably had 2,000 people on the first.
At least those 2 days. It might have been 2,000 people the first day.
Right. It was just an unprecedented number of folks, and the fact that it was covered in a lot of different media and in the New York Times, and typically the media will often look to try and find an angle on the story, and there wasn't an angle of how, as they asked people, particularly the folks in the Times, what their experience was. It was all positive. Time and again, people saying, I expected that this was going to be terrible and a really bad experience, and voila, it was, I figured I'd be here all day, and I was out in 40 minutes, and that was just because of the volume of people coming through. So just kudos to you and to your staff and all the departments for all their efforts. So let's talk just briefly in the minute that we have left about some of the initiatives that you've kind of brought in. I know one of the things that you're really involved with is as well as the Hunting and Fishing Expo. Maybe you could speak about that and some of the mobile office hours that you've
The one in
provided.
September at
Yes.
Congress Park?
Yes.
Well, that's a great initiative. My dear friend Stan Pascu, who's the president of Rockland Sporting Association, it was his idea. He had a little idea. There is a National Hunting and Fishing Day nationwide, and his dream was to bring an event that would be on that day, on that topic, to Rockland,
Right.
to Clarkstown. And at first it seemed like a pipe dream, but if you know Stan, he's not a quitter, and he really pulled together so many different resources, and really put the day together, and asked for the town's help and cooperation and a venue, and we were there for him. And it's a great event. It brings in lots of people who, fishing outfitters, the state DEC comes, and they have free fishing poles that you could borrow for the day. The last couple of years at least, the state has made that a free fishing zone where that day in that location there's no license required, so people didn't have to worry whether they have a license or not. We just say, come out and try fishing for the first time. And so it's really blossomed into a great thing where, again, we're trying to get young people to embrace the outdoors, to put the iPad down and go outside and really, get a piece of the outdoors into their life. And I think a real, anecdotal story that's great is one of the people in my office, Kim. She took her son there. I think it was the first or second year they had the event. He had never gone fishing before.
Really?
He went fishing that day with one of the poles they had, I think, or something. And he caught a fish, and he's been in love with fishing ever since. And I think that's exactly what Stan and the town we were hoping for, is to be able to instill that in some children. And I saw it actually happen firsthand. So
that's great.
It's a great day for people to come out. Please look for it this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Justin, that's about all the time we have for today, but I want to thank you for your service to our town as our town clerk. Wish you well as you continue now. You were reelected, as I was last November, so you're into your next 2-year term, and doing a great job administering the town clerk's office. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure working with you. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks so much. So stay tuned.